Okay, we are rolling. Hello,
Hi.
everybody.
Hey.
How you
Welcome
doing? I
back.
don't know how to start this. How you
do
doing
you
this
start
week?
this? Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah.
And obviously, what's been going on has been crazy. We'll try to explain everything as much as possible, as much as we can bear. But this episode might be a little shorter than usual, just because it's a lot, and we honestly just want to do on Israel. I felt like we couldn't really do on pop culture stories or other topics. I feel like this is what's happening now. This is all that's been like taking up our minds. So yeah, that's basically what we're gonna be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should start by explaining what happened. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen, and it's just been crazy. The images, the things. I don't know if you've watched any of the videos that came out. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, some I couldn't avoid. People were just posting up like, "Whoa, I didn't."
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Ben Shapiro, which he's been awesome these days. I know I usually don't like him, but he's honestly been just like speaking out the truth, which is like really what we need right now. And he was like, everyone needs to see this, which I agree. Like, I agree that if you're downplaying what's happening or if you're saying that these things are not true, then you need to see the videos just to understand the gravity of the situation. But I can't it's just so horrible.
I think I know a lot of people who have just been so completely overwhelmed by everything that, you know, they're taking a break from social media and they're taking a break from the news in general, because just the atmosphere of this all is just so horrifying that on top of it is like it's too much.
Yeah.
And I think it's a smart move for a lot of people. You know?
Yeah, listen, it's valid. I also see on social media like the good sides of like Israeli soldiers and people gathering to like just like support Israel, which has been very uplifting also to see. So there's definitely both sides to it. But yeah, Hamas attacked Israel on Saturday. It was Yom Tif, it was Shabbos. We didn't have our phones, nothing, but you know, rumors were spreading. I didn't even know the gravity of the situation until after Yom Tif. Like, we were literally going out, Simchas Torah, partying, like drinking, everything. And this happened in Israel. And like, I heard something happening, but only until after Yom Tif, when I saw the video, saw exactly like the headlines, everything, that I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is something we've never seen. People saying since the Holocaust, they haven't seen something like this happening to the Jews. So they attacked. For me, it's wild that they were able to get through the Gaza border and able to do something like this. It's just like so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
And
immediately I was like, how did this happen?
Like, I feel like Israel knows what they're up against, and they just like absolutely just like put all the measures in place. There's a lot of theories going around that like the Iranians, you know, sent missiles or something and that distracted, and then they were able to break through the gate. I don't really know. It just seems a really big oversight. I don't understand it. But
I don't know. All of like the hows and the responses are just like, to me, just like kind of fell flat in the face of just the insurmountable amount of suffering that's happening now.
Yeah.
And just like grief and pain. And like, that's my experience of it. And that's most of, I think, the people around me's experience of it. It's just like, it feels like trauma. This feels like very heavy. And like discussing how it happened and like whose fault it is and who's to blame in it. It's like, it's just a way to get out of that pain, you know, that grief. And I get it.
I guess. I mean, I also think it is a
I'm saying it's so valid.
Yeah.
You should be asking those questions, but I'm saying like, there's so much pain happening, like just from this, you know what I mean? Just the suffering that's going on because of the actions that they did and the way that they went about like just murdering these really, really innocent, absolutely innocent people. And it's like, we can't focus for a freaking minute on that. Everyone has to answer to everything else. Everyone has to answer to like the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Yeah. It's like, we have to be focusing on the inhumanity of the actions.
Yeah. But I also think that there's a lot of people out there who are very ignorant and are just like automatically jumping to, you know, these Palestinians have been in an open air prison for so long. That's why
we have to focus on what Hamas is doing, you know?
And has done. Exactly. And if this doesn't show you that they don't want freedom, they just want to kill Jews. If they were in Israel, which by the way, people are saying that like it's an apartheid state. Gaza is not part of Israel. Israel gave up Gaza to the Palestinians. They voted in Hamas, which, you know, obviously we don't know if Hamas like terrorized them to vote them in. That's, you know, another question. But like they voted Hamas into their government and they turned that place into a shit show, into a complete base to just fire missiles at Israelis. And so, and the wording people use, like, oh, you know, Israel controls their water and electricity. They provide it for them. It's so interesting the words people choose to use to show that Israel is evil. Like they control their water and electricity. No, they provide them with water and electricity because they actually care about the civilians there, which is something that Hamas does not. And if this doesn't show you that Hamas does not give a shit about human life and they don't care about freedom, they just care about killing, they just care about obliterating the Jewish people, then I don't know what, like, how you think, unless you're just completely ignorant and you're just getting complete misinformation. Like people were saying like, oh, these things with the babies, like they're just saying that for propaganda. And then Biden had to like do a press conference, like confirming that he saw the pictures of the babies beheaded.
Oh my God.
And
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You didn't hear about the babies?
No, I didn't hear that they had to do a press conference.
Yeah. Like, first of all, kudos to Biden for like his support with Israel.
I just, yeah. I heard a really good way of looking at it. It was not like the problem with Israel and Palestine and the hypocrisy of the world in the way that we hold Israel responsible for what goes on in the Gaza Strip. And that this person explained that when you look at North Korea and South Korea, and you look at North Korea and you see the desperation and destitute that their civilians are living in, you don't go blame the South Korean government for that. That kind of seems kind of insane, does it not? To go say South Korea has a responsibility to fight for the North Koreans and give them all the shelter and provide all of these things for them, which many of the South Koreans, I'm sure, would want to do, right? But you're not fighting a democracy versus a democracy. You're talking about an autocracy and a democracy, completely two different entities here with different ideologies and different philosophies.
And a government that's not going to allow you to do that. Like,
exactly. So if you look at that perspective, then what, to me, it's like, what is making you blame Israel for real, like for what is going on in the Gaza Strip when it's like, if that's clearly a political conversation, then what about North Korea and South Korea? To me, it's like, okay, then maybe that's really anti-Semitic. Like
1,000%.
You're just
also like
a freaking anti-Semite, like
literally, and also
holding Jews at a higher standard than, or at an impossible standard, for something that you wouldn't do yourself. You know
right
what I mean?
Now, like Israel's just retaliating they're defending themselves for this like crazy thing, this unimaginable thing that happened, and people are like, yeah, but Gaza, like Palestinian civilians are dying. It's like, this is war. And yeah, they, you know, it's very, very nice to see that Israel is making like giving civilians warnings to leave their homes before they drop bombs on terrorist buildings or whatever it is. But it's like, think about when Japan invaded America, we literally just dropped an atomic bomb on 2 cities and that's it. We ended the war. And nobody holds them to that standard because that's what war is. Now, I'm not saying that I don't feel bad for the people of Japan who had to deal with that, but it's like, this is war and this is what happens when you do something like that. At the end of the day, when you look at how Israel, oh my God, those cars.
I know, maybe we should wait a minute until.
So annoying.
Oh, there we go.
They were literally the second we stopped talking. People looking at Israel and being like, yeah, but what about the civilians that they're killing in Palestine? And it's like, how can you not see that that is completely and utterly Hamas's doing by holding, using civilian buildings like the hospital, like the schools. They're using those buildings to stash their weapons in. They're using those buildings to as headquarters of Hamas. And that's where Israelis have to target to get rid of the terrorists, to get rid of the weapons that they have. But civilians are there because that's what Hamas does. They don't care about their civilians. They don't care about their children. And they use that as a way to say, oh, look, Israel's killing our civilians, when really it's your fault. So if you're going to feel bad for the civilians, I totally understand, which I do too. Mm-hmm. These innocent children who they have nothing to do with it. They're growing up in poverty under a regime that's absolutely horrendous to live under. But it has nothing to do with Israel. It has everything to do with Hamas. And like any opinion otherwise is just shocking. Yeah.
I think, I'm subscribed to like a bipartisan news outlet called Tingle, and the guy who writes the news, he kind of like does a brief overview of what each side is saying on today's like most prominent political topic, whatever. So he did his take on the whole Israel conflict, and he had like a very measured take. He's a leftist himself, and he's a Jew, and he was saying it could have been me. He starts off with his name is Isaac Saul. He's really, really very level-headed and nuanced, which I appreciate. And he drew back in terms of like the history of conflict with Israel, with the Jews and Palestinians, and he explained that this is an issue that stems, meaning like this is an issue that stems from when the Ottoman Empire took control of Israel and decided to give the Jews a place to live, because we were literally running from people who wanted to kill us, and how many Palestinians, if you draw back to there and say they were living in that land, and it's why is it fear that they decide to give Jews our land and occupy it, in terms of like just like the historical context of it. There's legitimacy to an argument here, to some sort of conflict in terms of like the way our world is with war and occupying land, and that wasn't ours to begin with. That's the way things have always been done.
Yeah, and it's also
right?
like,
but and the Jews just happen to have won the last war for Israel. When you look at it like that, everything is crazy.
Like, well, how did America get started?
Crazy. Everything is crazy that we're like turning to Israel and blaming and asking why we're not doing more, when it's like, do we hold this standard for anything else? Which is the way this world has it. Which is how like everyone is living on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I don't actually get it, and so I get very like overwhelmed, and like to me, all I truly want is to end any cycle of hate. And because I am sure Palestinians are acting out of revenge for something that has happened to them.
I don't even
They're individuals.
Believe that.
Okay, I don't know about Hamas. I think
Hamas is what they elected, and maybe there are Muslims that live in Israel freely, and they can go to schools there, and they can.
The cars want to be a
by the
part
way,
of this
they
conversation.
literally are so annoying.
Listen, I don't know if this is the right time to have this discussion, because for me to say this kind of opinion, and I get it, because I feel like so many people are suffering, and all they can think about is 40 freaking beheaded babies, raped women. Where is your protest for liberation, for freedom of expression, for your westernized like ideals? Where are they when it comes to Hamas? If you go there, they would murder you. So many people from my college, I want to throttle them.
Yeah.
I want to say, if you're so pro all of this, go.
Literally go fight it there.
Go to the places that you are fighting for, please. I saw this comic actually. See, like I'm all over the place because there's so much here and there's also so much pain. I saw this comic. It's kind of funny, but like there was this like, I don't know if it was a gay man or if it was like it was a westernized, like someone from America. Okay. And the first comic is like him holding a sign saying like pro Hamas, pro Palestine, free Palestine. And there's a Hamas soldier in the next comic like looking at them, and they like make eye contact, and they like the next comic is them holding hands, and the next comic is like
him dead,
the severed head of the guy, of the American.
I saw a similar one with a woman. I think it was similar.
Yeah. You have to understand that your political lenses that you look at the world through because you learned it in your sociology class in college doesn't apply to every scenario. It doesn't. And it doesn't apply here because you're talking about an ideology that says kill Jews we're gonna
kill. They also were chanting kill death to America. Like they'll come to America and try
Hamas.
To take over.
We're talking about
Hamas, Iranians, people who are protesting free Palestine. There was one in I think Iran that was saying free. But you're saying Hamas as if it's like this small fringe organization. It's not. It's all over. And a lot of the Palestinians believe in Hamas they believe in them as their government. If you see the protest there's protests in New York of people holding swastika signs, like you can say that there are innocent Palestinians who are just like indoctrinated in this belief, but at the end of the day, I do think that the Palestinian as a movement is becoming more and more hatred towards Jews and just want to see the destruction of Israel. Like I don't think that it's now, there is a difference between innocent people and Hamas, but Hamas is not this fringe movement. It really is becoming part of the mainstream in Palestine. And like, listen, at the end of the day, like, I don't know, why do you think these people are like can be so like silly to be like queers for Palestine? Like, are they just anti-Semitic? Are they just ignorant? What is it?
It is a very, very clear disconnect. That's what it is. Yeah. It's also when you're learning the types of like political Marxist kind of lens that is being more and more like taught in the liberal arts kind of degree. You start looking at everything as oppressed and oppressors, and you don't take any nuance into account. So once Palestine has been labeled as the oppressed, Israel is the oppressor in every case.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what every fight that Palestine is in is a fight for freedom.
When literally like Israel's surrounded by.
So that's why you'll get people who will literally ignore these clear like human violations,
right?
Like human violations, like
it's crazy. It's just crazy that you can see something like that and be like, free Palestine. Like literally videos of people talking what's happening, comments, free Palestine.
No, it's a level of like desensitized that like, I don't.
It makes me like literally lose faith in humanity. Like I look at Twitter, look at Instagram. Twitter is the worst of it, by the way. Like literally, I can't even go on there. It's like people just don't have a brain. They're just like acting out of, I don't even know what, like taking it for a moment what's going on. Even people who are acting indifferent, like I posted that clip of Candace Owens talking about how like, who am I to talk about this? I need to sit down and figure it out.
Let me tell you something. It is really easy to denounce certain things, right? It's really easy to denounce the beheadings.
It's not very difficult,
babies, right? Like it shouldn't be too hard. God, like literally, like I want to curse. Like F everyone and anyone who can't do that.
Yeah.
Because they're scared of something. If you have some sort of platform and you see something like that, for God's sake, if I saw that happening in any other case, why is that? What does that take out of you?
Think about the Black Lives Matter, like when George Floyd died, everyone was posting a black square, which totally warranted. But like that was one person dead, not devaluing like what happened there. And here we have now, I think it's 1,200 people dead, and still people are having a difficult time posting something about that. When BLM, it was literally like unanimous and everybody posting it. And it's like, it just shows like, yeah, you're not doing this for the actual, for justice. You're doing this for social gain and social acceptance.
Regardless of the conflict that is backed behind this attack, regardless of that, you can separate the actions of these listen, people are saying they're not even animals because of the nature of the crimes that they're doing. Not even animals could think of something like this. Like that's the level of like anger I'm hearing from people who recount the disgusting acts that Hamas did when they attacked the Israelis. Those actions purely, regardless of like where you stand on this issue, where you stand on like who's right to Israel, who has a right to Israel, you should obviously be saying that is never, ever something you want to see. That is something that disgusts you deeply. Why it's so confusing on what your whataboutism and your buts and your ifs and your... However, if you start a sentence with that, literally take some reckoning upon yourself. Just, I beg you. I don't think we're preaching to anyone who does that. I'm more like responding to... I think
that we have a pretty Jewish audience, so...
I would assume so. I'm more responding to like the things that I've seen, because I have quite a number of non-Jewish friends, and it's so disheartening. It makes me feel so alienated.
And what are and they're saying pro-Palestine. They're saying free Palestine.
Oh yeah. They I lost tons of followers on Instagram, which
Wow.
I'm very glad to have.
Like, okay, now we know where you stand.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. And I've seen many people putting like their Palestinian flags. I saw one guy like with this Palestinian song on his Instagram account. And yeah, if like your immediate response is to not even like dig into what's going on and to just like free Palestine.
You're anti-Semitic, ignorant. I don't know.
Joe
Rogan, I was trying to find him talk about it. Like he literally didn't post anything on his Instagram, nothing. Right. One episode, he mentioned it for like 20 minutes. They were talking about it and he's like, whoa, it's so scary what's happening in Israel now. But like, what's even real? Like we don't even know what's real. Ugh. Ew. Like, what are you saying? Like literally, it's crazy how everybody's anti-Semitic. I'm not surprised he's some stupid hippie, but like, how are all the...
He's not a hippie.
Grew up in a hippie.
He's a meathead.
Whatever he is, he's stupid.
I mean, it's not I feel like it's not a coincidence that he's just degrading more and more into conspiracy land. Like the man is basically
But why? But why take the side of Hamas and like that type? He didn't go into detail about it, but like,
is he? He said like, "What's real?"
Like, he was like, "What do we know that's real?" Like he's like, and then in another podcast,
believe any like news.
No, I don't know if he didn't believe any of the news that's coming out, but he mentioned that like, what do you know it's real? He didn't say anything about like it's horrible what's happening to the Israelis. He just said we see what's happening with the Israel at war. It's so scary. And then in the next podcast, he mentioned it also for like 5 minutes. Literally, he's just like, now I'm seeing pictures of like people in Gaza and Palestinians. Like you see these pictures. It's like, what? Like, what about the whole thing happened to Israel? So I don't know. He didn't outrightly say where he stands. I don't think he will. But like, that's very disappointing to me.
Listen, you can get so lost in it. I mean, I like can't with it anymore. Like, I can't even cry anymore. But like, there's a lot of unity, and I know there's a lot of things that are being done.
Yeah. It's amazing to see.
And that I have to focus on that. I have to like always end with that, knowing that there's so many. I went to the rally in Manhattan, was it yesterday? And it was packed, and everyone was singing Am Yisrael Chai and Adavinu, and just like there's a full spectrum of Jewish life there.
Yeah,
and
it's crazy to see how Israelis, because I was going to say like the festival, the music festival that was like where the massacre took place, they're all like hippie lefty type of Israelis, which are usually the type of Israelis that believe in like negotiating with Palestinians Gaza. And like being like Two-state passionate solution. And all that. Yeah. And now everyone's just a united front, because I think that this really opens people's eyes to the fact that like they don't want peace, and the people who do want peace don't have a say. Maybe, I don't know, but
I wish the people who did would speak up and do some sort of movement.
Like at the end of the day, like
their religion. That's really what I wish. That's what I wish more than anything. That within their religion, there's a force for.
Listen,
I don't think it could be imposed upon.
I think right now, Israel's getting rid of Gaza. I think that's what they need to do. I think they need to get everyone out of there, and that's it. We're not having a place where you can just fire missiles at us all the damn time, and we're just okay with it. And now you do something like this, and nothing's going to happen. We're not at war. We're not going to try to conquer back our land. No, like I think that there's been many times where Israel tried to make peace with them and tried to have a two-state solution, and it's just... It's not what they want. They want the obliteration of Israel. So
yeah, let's remind us that it was the Palestinians who declined a two-state solution.
Yeah.
And then there was a war, and we won that war. Like, if we're playing by the game, by the rules of the world, by the rules of our very bloody and disgusting and often like inhumane world, we are right.
Literally.
Like, there's no other way to put it.
And the fact that like Israel is still like warning civilians to get out, which is great. Like, it's great. And Hamas is telling their civilians no, stay there, and they can't not blow up these things these places of ammunition or places where terrorists are, and like it's literally Hamas's fault. So when you're seeing like pictures of Gaza, like Gazians, I don't know how to say it, people, Palestinians, children being killed. Just remember, it's Hamas. Okay, it's not Israel. They're the ones who are causing this. It could be prevented, and they're the ones that are causing this.
And it's awful. It is so
it's crazy
awful
that Egypt
they are innocent, also civilians within the Gaza Strip that are suffering and dying because of this. It's awful. Like it truly is.
I'm curious
what's a continuous cycle of death and pain and hatred and war and retaliation and death and pain and retaliation. Like I don't ever see it. Like something has got to
Israel
change.
just has to take over. I don't know. Like we can't negotiate with terrorists. You can't. Like this is my opinion. It might be extreme, but like I just think that at the end of the day, you can't. You can keep on trying and trying, but like when innocent lives are lost and these horrendous things are happening, it's like enough is enough. There has to be a point where you put your foot down and say that's it. We're a democracy and we're gonna fight for our democracy. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. It's the only one where you can walk proudly as a gay person. The only one that you can walk out however you want to dress as a woman. You can't do that in the Gaza Strip. You can't do that anywhere else in the Middle East. So I think people need to take that into perspective that Israel is a democracy and we want more democracies.
I don't know.
I saw this. I don't know if you know Hassan B. He's like a streamer, like famous streamer. I used to watch him. He went on Andrew Schultz. I listened to the podcast. I never had any issue with him until now. Literally, like I think he's the only one that's like openly defending Hamas. Like I've seen people like play the.
No, he's not the only one. Like unfortunately,
like a big media personality.
Oh, I mean, like I'm saying, I know.
No, like there's definitely people who are like saying, but like somebody with like this big of a platform who's like outrightly like being like, he literally tweeted out the day after it happened, the day after women were raped in public, Hamas called fathers while they were raping their children. I mean, just like crazy stuff. Literally after being like, there's no perfect way for retaliation. That's what he tweeted out. There's no perfect way of retaliation. These people have been in open ear prison for a certain amount of years, whatever it was. And then he did a whole live stream saying how like this, they don't care. They've been in prison. This is what they're going to do. What do you expect, Israel? What do you expect? And it's like, I thought Ben Shapiro made a really good point where he was like, so if he was responding to this guy, he was like, so you're telling me that if, you felt oppressed by somebody for years, you would go ahead and behead babies. You would go and rape children. It's like, what?
No matter, there's no justification.
Doesn't matter.
There is literally no justification for acting like this. No, really.
Yeah.
Even if you want to take in whatever Israel as the main oppressor, they are the worst. They are literally choking the people in Gaza with their like not giving them anything. Regardless, the kind of actions that you do to retaliate express everything about the nature of how you go, like about your morals, about your ideals, about your philosophies. There is no justification for doing the things that they did. You cannot believe that. You really can't. Anyone who does, that's truly terrifying. Like it literally,
it's scary. Like we think
scary.
about how
I would not want to be a part. If my religion told me that that's okay, I would hope that I would be the one being like, that's crazy. No, we can never cross into that line. We can never cross into that line of doing those kinds of things. Like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going crazy.
The ringer went on, so I'm just gonna restart it.
It's crazy. No, it's literally this is crazy. The fact that I have to like almost beg people to not be on the side of like people who behead babies and rape like women is like, what are we even doing? What are we doing? Like, that's why I can't anymore, Rivka. That's literally why I can't do this anymore. It just gets to here and I'm just like, whatever, do whatever the F you want, believe whatever you want. I can't anymore. I can't. I actually, story time, but there was a girl, a Palestinian, I don't know if she's Palestinian, there's a Muslim girl who I met in college. We actually like worked pretty well together in a class that we were in, like a writing class. She responded to one of my Instagram posts. She said, like, would you be, I was like, I was like, this is senseless violence, such stupid hatred, things like this. She's like, well, is it senseless violence if Israel does it and stuff like that? So I did engage with her a little bit, and I wrote like she's like, can you condemn it if Israel does this? I was like, all senseless violence can obviously be condemned, but I don't think we're talking about the same thing here. Like, I don't think you can morally equivocate, if that's the word, what we're doing here. And I think it's a lie. I think it's a pure lie that people willingly allow themselves to believe that we're talking about two equal things here. And she was basically saying that no, Israel has had the upper hand as apartheid and colonization and all of the trigger words. And I wrote that I got angry at that point. I was like, this is such bull crap. And
it also doesn't matter.
I also said, like, I don't know about you, but like, she's like, this isn't senseless violence, the response that they had. So I don't know about you, but I'm like, I think rape, beheading babies, and like, just murdering innocent civilians, many of which who are not even Israeli, constitutes as senseless
pretty
violence.
Obvious statement.
I'm like, be for real. And then she responded, and I at that point I was like, no, I can't. I honestly don't think this is going anywhere. I started to like get into this mode of like, Muslim versus Jew, this is what it's going to cost. And so I wrote her, I was like, listen,
what did she respond that?
She responded to that. She responded to something. I couldn't read it. So I wrote to her. She like sent me a bunch of videos about like, like what she what her side, and like your brainwash, your propaganda, like things like this. And so I said, I think if anything right now, there's got to be unity between Muslims and Jews. I would hope that you could condemn senseless violence when you see it. I wish you the best. And she responded, and I didn't open her thing. Okay. I'm not engaging with it anymore.
It's just scary, honestly, that people can, because we think about like the Holocaust, and we're not removed from it because it's still relatively recent, but it didn't happen to us, and it happened to our grandparents, great grandparents. So we can still look at it and be like, wow, like that was a different world. And then it's like, this happened. You're like, was it a different world? Like, oh my God, like people are literally just defending this. Like, it's crazy. If you want to end, we can end on like maybe a positive note. Unless you have anything else to say that you want to share.
No.
Okay. I think like I think we covered everything. Just like I really wanted to talk about all these regurgitating points that people are saying, that just like people who are ignorant probably leaves them confused. Like, oh, has Israel done this to the Palestinians, or have they been oppressed for so long? So I think I wanted to address that. But it's been great to see a lot of celebrities showing support. As much as didn't. There's a lot that
I think you can get really lost and really bitter in just the absolute tragedy, but that's I think there's been an incredible amount of support.
Yeah.
And I my laser appointment.
Yeah. The lady
and the lady who was giving me my laser, she's like this Russian Christian woman, and she was just I loved her, and as she was doing it, she was like getting angry and angrier, and I was like, how, like
that actually hurts.
That like actually hurts. She's like, sorry, I'm angry. I was like, okay, just not on me.
Just don't take it out of
just don't take it out on me. So I'm saying like that is, and just seeing like all of us band together and just forgetting our differences because even us Jews will be like, you're Chabad and you're
exactly, literally,
and you're like
Meshaches versus like who cares? Like
at this point we're
even in Israel, like I said, like the left versus the right, and how we should deal with, and it's like everyone's just one. People voluntarily going to the army without even being drafted. I mean, tons of people drafted, but also, by the way, it was like Yom Tov here, and like tons of Israelis that were here literally took buses on Yom Tov back to Israel.
Right, I heard that.
To the plane, like it just crazy. And seeing all the Israelis, like first of all the donation links and people giving to the Israelis to supply them with everything they need. Well, I don't know, but
all the challah bakes and community gatherings, and there's
really no
unity.
Like,
and
our
I hope
nation is amazing.
We stay this unified without tragedy. Like, we don't need something like this to create.
It's weird how tragedy like brings everyone together. It's just, I feel like sad. It's just the nature of human beings. But yeah.
So yeah, and of course everyone who's not Jewish and like supports us, that's like just one cherry on top of the pie. Like
Andrew Schultz, nice. I literally messaged him like probably 5 times. Every time he posts a story of him like doing a comedy show in Dublin, whatever, I'm like, fuck you. Literally talk about Israel, you coward.
There are many celebrities though who have been. You want some water?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes stress It's a stress cough. That's a thing, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know that.
During my whole filming of the movie, I was like coughing. Like I just got this cough and I thought I was sick. And then my producer basically said that like that's anxiety and stress and worry.
Whoa, I don't know that.
Like I had that. You know, I saw Amy Schumer had posted something. I saw you just read something to me. Who was that celebrity that
Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian.
I literally saw a reel of somebody saying Kylie Jenner supported the Israelis and like she was like smashing her makeup and like throwing it out. It was like a Muslim girl.
Okay, I see.
Like, just crazy.
Yeah, basically, we see you. It helps.
Of course it helps. It's really, it makes me very angry. Maybe it's stupid, but it makes me angry when people don't speak out.
It's not stupid at all. I'm so cynical because like it makes us happy that they're really like giving us the absolute bare minimum. Thank you for agreeing that beheading babies and raping women and dragging their bodies through the street isn't a good thing.
I know it's crazy that we have to like literally beg for it and like have to like thank them hands on our knees.
I'm not. That's where I'm at. Like I don't give an F. Don't talk about it. Talk about it. I don't care. No,
I care. I think that it makes it even worse when people don't talk about it. It's like when we talk about it, it's like expected. So when you don't, it's like whoa, that's scary.
I see that. Yeah.
Again, back to the Holocaust. How do people stay silent? How do people just let it happen?
Yeah, silence is definitely a form of response. Like silence is not like we know where you stand if you don't say anything. Oh God.
But yeah. On a positive note,
all the emotions that everyone is probably feeling: anger, anxiety, fear, grief. I mean, I feel like all of us are just overwhelmed. And like
I literally can't get off of social media just watching everything. I know I should probably delete it, but like I just like want to know what's happening.
Sadness. Yeah, I feel you. I know my mom's the same way.
But yeah, seeing the unity that we have and the soldiers. Oh my God, I literally am in love with every single soldier.
I can't even look at the soldiers. I can't. It makes me like burst into tears. Just these like young teenage boys just and girls. Like
I saw one that was getting married. They literally just did like a marriage on like maybe it was the base near the border. I don't know where it was, but like they had like it's beautiful.
This is like really unbearable. Like this is just so difficult. Really.
I can't believe people are like capable of doing something like that. They just hate us. They're taught to hate us. I'm telling like they're from kids, they're taught to hate us. That's just the only possible way that you're so indoctrinated.
Barbaric. It's beyond barbaric. It's horrifying.
But yeah, thank you to everyone who supports us.
No, I don't want to end on this note.
And fuck everyone.
Fuck everyone who doesn't.
Who doesn't.
We'll be fine. Us Jews.
I think Israel's gonna fire back pretty hard, as they should.
We are more unified than ever.
Yeah.
And we don't, to me, it's like we don't fucking need anyone else. We don't fucking need anyone else. We are good. We're unified. And if you want to stay in your anti-Semitic little stupid beliefs, then we're fine. We're not naive.
I think
that this exists, and we know that.
But I do think that we need as much support as we can because
true, and we also need that
because like everyone can. If everyone's against us, it's scary.
Because you think about it, like we've been running from things. We've
literally
been running from our entire existence, and we've persisted, and will persist, and will continue to.
Did you see the whole thing
and
of
thrive?
The Roman,
we thrive.
Like the Roman Empire originally is one that conquered Israel from the Jews, and they built this arch to celebrate it. Literally now there's a Israeli flag on that same arch. Like the Romans, they were destroyed and we're still here. Crazy. So I think that's a good note.
My Jewish people and all the non-Jewish people who support us and don't support the basic inhumanity.
Forget about Jews. I mean, just the inhumanity, the people that were
like, I would be afraid to just live
victims.
in a world of people who like wouldn't condemn something like this. That's the thing. Like I'm afraid of that. Anyways, yeah, let's focus on all the unity that's coming from this, and yeah. Thank
thank you for listening and watching, and hopefully we can come out with more lighter episodes when we do the next one, but for now this is all we've been consumed with. So
yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you're taking care of yourself during this time. It's incredibly difficult, but your emotional needs are what's important. Take care of yourself, get off social media if you feel like it's too much, and like, we'll get through this, I think, together. If we have to do it together, you can't do it alone.
Yeah. And there's definitely things you can do, like, from people are like feel helpless, but you can donate, you can do mitzvahs, you can daven, you can do whatever, anything, like just pray for these people. I think that's it. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.